Welcome to This Shit, and today we're going to talk about the 1988 animated film Gandahar. The film was originally released in France and was based on a book, but who gives a single shit about any of that fucking trash? Outside of that, the movie's kind of fucking legendary, though. It has everything you want in a sci-fi and everything you want in a fantasy movie, whilst also being animated and so being completely off the fucking walls with everything. The animation is nice, the characters and the story is crazy, and there's a bitch that has fucking huge wings on her head, and that's fucking insane. So the film follows our main character named Sylvain, who's the son of the queen who has crazy fucking wing ears, which makes you wonder why he doesn't have crazy fucking wing ears! But whatever, so Sylvain is summoned to go find out what his enemies are plotting because they killed all their fucking seeing birds, so they don't know what's going on beyond their borders.
One less mirror bird to watch over our kingdom of Gandahar, killed like the others were. Who would do it, and why?
To keep us from learning what threatens us.
Before I go on, I should mention that their society, for some reason, doesn't accept current technologies. And that's why they have seeing birds. So his mom says, alright, don't die, and he says, I probably will, and he goes on his epic journey. Which originally his mom queen was opposed to until the council made up their own rules to this card game and said, you can't overrule us!
Surely they're more capable and more experienced agents than my son.
The council has ruled, and you cannot change their decision. We've already summoned him.
But fuck it. So he goes on his epic journey and falls asleep on his flying contraption thing and gets taken out of the sky because he's a stupid fucking dumbass. And lo and behold, gets taken away by some mutants into some dark, deep caves filled with radiation. Now, I don't know what kind of superhero comic book fucking world these guys live in where radiation gives them the power to Tibetan throat sing and summon the powers of thunder and lightning and smite all their foes, but that's fucking awesome. Which makes these outcasted mutants more like a really important war asset that they should have been holding on to the entire time, even though they do eventually help out in the war anyway, but they're pussies about it. But anyway, Sylvain doesn't even know about the mutant's existence, and so he thinks he's being held captive by his enemies, but eventually finds out that they're his allies and that his enemies aren't even from Gandahar and they're trying to destroy the entire planet, and so that Sylvain also fights for the mutants. So it's a great little story about unity in that idea. So Sylvain sets off with one of the mutants who eventually tells him about a saying that his people have lived by for who knows how fucking long.
In 1,000 years, Gandahar was destroyed and all its people killed. 1,000 years ago, Gandahar will be saved, and what can't be avoided will be.
After a close brush with death, Sylvain and the mutant stumble upon a field of people turned into fucking stone. And then this is where we meet our main villain, the Metal Men, who come out of fucking nowhere and start blasting at Sylvain and the mutant and turn Sylvain into fucking stone, and you actually think that the character's dead. When this fucking happened, I thought it was going to turn into like an anthology story about people getting slaughtered by these metal men. But no, the quote-unquote metal men eventually put him inside of a pink egg with some female who also happens to be the love interest of the movie. It's funny because she's not wearing a shirt, but no one in the movie that's a female is wearing a shirt because, you know, peace and love and happiness, man. She's honestly the only part of this film that I fucking kind of hate because she's really pointless. Like, the entire script could have been fully functional without her. They just kind of threw her in there, and apparently in the original version from France, they had like a sex scene where they were naked. That's edited out in the English version. But fuck it, whatever. Eventually Godzilla comes out of fucking nowhere and steals them while they're in the eggs because it thinks that it's one of their babies. But they escape, and eventually Sylvain and the bitch discover that there's a door of time that the metal men are going through and are bringing people in and turning them into robots.
The light seems to absorb them. They just vanish. The prisoners who enter that door are human,
They emerge as machines.
I forgot to mention that the metal men are headed by a fucking Satanist Hitler.
The I does not exist. The true I is we. It is we. It is we. The true I is we. And we are he. He, the great beginning, master of our energy and soon master of the world.
So eventually, the bitch and Sylvain hop on a boat that the metal men are driving and go out into the middle of the ocean that's inhabited by a giant fucking brain. The brain happens to have a mind of its own. Okay. And captures Sylvain and the bitch and has an intimate conversation about how they don't know jack fucking shit at all because it only speaks in riddles. But eventually the brain gives itself a name and is now known as the Metamorphosis throughout the rest of the movie. But I guess nothing happens to him because the big pink metamorphosed brain sends him on a giant pink blanket that's fucking on their way back home. After debriefing the council, the head wizard gives Sylvain a fucking syringe full of heroin to kill the fucking brain. And then some war happens. And then some more war happens. But then Sylvain eventually gets back to the brain / metamorphosis and has another deep conversation where the metamorphosis tells him to come back in 1,000 years because that's when he's going to be his weakest. And he says, there's no way that I could live for 1,000 years. And the metamorphosis says, I can put you underneath the lake for 1,000 years.
1,000 years? Don't you think I'll be a little old for battle?
And then because he's a fucking stupid idiot, our main character goes, okay, yeah, sure, why not? And then the metamorphosis kills every single person that he's ever fucking known.
I had accomplished nothing.
And then Sylvain comes back 1,000 years in the future, and somehow all the mutants are still there, the exact same ones, with the same exact dots and everything, and I'm very confused by this point. When he finds out with old age the brain has developed a harder shell for protection, naturally. So really the brain just knew that he was going to get old and crusty and said, fuck you, you won't be able to kill me. So Sylvain and the mutants go on one last final epic adventure to destroy the Metamorphosis. The mutants use their thunderous god Thor power to destroy the generator that's making it to where the Metamorphosis is still hard. And then Sylvain simply injects him and just kills the fucking Metamorphosis. So then before it collapses, Sylvain and the mutants go through the door of time. And upon arrival discover that the world is still empty and everyone is still dead. So them and the survivors must recreate all of civilization. Happily ever after, even though it's bad.